Hello, what the heck is this? What
this is because you left me
Pluggo
last
goes
week.
on the right.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Jesus.
Maybe you shouldn't go on vacation, JPJ.
Apparently not. What is going on around
back,
here?
buddy. Welcome back. I'm so excited.
Good to be back. Good to be back. Hello, everyone. Hello, Love Wrestling. It is Thursday. It is 8 p.m. And it is another episode of Between Two Beards. Thank you, Ryan. I agree.
Do not talk about.
Back.
Don't talk like that in front of your newly born daughter, Colpito. Don't put that in her mouth.
Honk, honk. Good to see our buddies baby. And Goose, the Canadian Goose, in the chat this evening. I am back. It was good. I needed a week away. Need to reset the batteries every so often. You know, you gotta take some time, take some me time, take some rest and relaxation. Weekend of good beverages, good food, good company. Good
and
time,
I didn't burn the building down.
Well, I tuned into the beginning, and in typical fashion, you weren't working. You weren't working right at the top.
Why would
and I was like, not much has changed.
Let's take it down a notch. How would you have felt if it just went smoothly without a hitch? You'd have been like, Pluggo.
No, I would have been proud. I would have been proud.
Oh, well, no, I'll note it for next time you go on vacation. But I'm glad you're back because I gotta say, that's a lot of work, man. I was pushing buttons. Alex is getting mad. He's like, "What are you doing?" You know, we had the Astrid.
It's not as easy as it looks.
No,
it's not as easy as it looks.
So if you're in the chat, give us a like, give us a subscribe. JPJ's back in the fold. Show Spencer how much that you love us, so we can keep our jobs because we did it again. We spent some more money. This time he improved it, but we got Mitch Clarke joining us here shortly tonight to talk some Love Pro Wrestling 2. See, I'm still in host mode. Do I need to kick back?
No, I'm chilling. I'm good. I'll ease back into this. Do you. I like this new confidence I'm seeing from you. I like it.
You left me in charge for a week.
I will kill you. Okay? Feel good. Let's get after it. Don't touch the buttons.
Okay.
But no,
I'm glad.
Any big wrestling stories or anything like that? No, it was a quiet week, right?
Pretty quiet.
Boston, Cody Rhodes. No,
usual stuff. Yeah, what the hell, man? You go on vacation and I'm pretty sure I texted you multiple times and was you picked a hell of a week to go on vacation.
Yeah, I sure did. I was like, oh man, I want to talk about these things, but I can't.
But we had Astrid come back.
Yes.
Astrid the Natural. Alex helped us out. We righted the ship. We talked Elimination Chamber. We had a good show last week. I know, but we are glad that the man himself is back in the saddle. Let's do this thing tonight. I'm excited. I'm pumped. It's a big night. It's a big night.
Chat, my friend. It is a big night.
If you are here now, I highly recommend that you stay at 9 o'clock for Quizplex, as they have got a stacked lineup. I think we've got a graphic.
Look at that. Goose says, I'm pretty sure I am the last guy who wrestled Mitch Clarke. It did not go well for me. Mitch is legit. There you go. All right, Pluggo, continue.
Well, should we ask Mitch about his romp with the Goose?
I mean, we could. We could. He's going to be joining us shortly.
You're talking trash, Mitch.
No, he's not. He's saying that Mitch is good.
No, but he said it didn't go well. Oh, for him. I thought he said
Goose,
Mitch.
It didn't go well.
Oh,
I think that means that Mitch handled him
Well, Mitch
I
is
think that's what
a
that means.
former former
MMA
UFC fighter.
Correct.
So, but what I was saying
Continue.
is Quizplex with Zach, Zark, Smarkmouth has PCO.
Mm-hmm. Green Phantom.
Green Phantom and Thaddeus Archer.
No, that has changed. Thaddeus Archer had to drop out. He had an emergency. We have Michael Allen, Richard Clarke now filling in.
Even better. I missed the memo on that. I have had a weird week, so I apologize.
I believe it happened today, so it's rather recent news, but still, yeah. Those are three huge guests. That is one of PCO. He doesn't just do a lot of these type of things. So and there you go. Like Spencer has the backing. It was breaking news. It was breaking news.
Sorry, boss. I tried. That's why he hosts, and I just sit here and I go like this.
Mm-hmm. But this is one of our biggest Quizplexes. With those three special guests, it should be a real fun time. So once we get off here at 9, you do not leave. You stay on here. It will be sharp. You stay on here because first of all, who doesn't love trivia? Like, be real. Whether you're good at it or you're bad at it, who does not love trivia? Trivia is fun. You get with your friends. You try to win. I'm competitive, so if I don't win, I get pissed off and I leave. But it's fine. But that's how I am. Yeah.
I did see this in the chat today.
Okay.
So if you needed more incentive than that stacked lineup of guests, if you're in the comments and you're playing along, there's a prize for the person who scores the most points in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
So stick around, win you a prize via Love Wrestling. That's all I'm going to say. That's
so not only
I'm trying to get the scorekeeper to like just pad my stats because I always get all the questions.
Not only are you going to watch a really entertaining, fun show, you can answer trivia questions, have fun in the chat, and if you do well enough, you can win something for free.
Yeah,
like that's a win-win-win situation.
Yeah, that big. So, we might as well just do some housekeeping. JPJ was on vacation last week. We also have another big announcement for those that haven't seen our social medias. Starting next week, March 1st, you will be getting the same beards, the same show, all of the perks, all the blowing of the budget, but it's going to be exclusively live on Twitch. And I know we've got a video for that, right, Alex?
We got the graphic.
Pop the graphic up. We can talk about it real soon. Look at that.
We can. So as you can see, all live content will now be available on Twitch TV/Love Wrestling CA starting March 1st. If you watch us on Facebook or you watch us on YouTube, those will still be available. They will just be available the day after. So on Friday, you will be able to watch the show. But if you want to watch the show live, like you guys do, and you know how much we enjoy all of you in the chat, you guys are as much a part of the show as literally we are. Starting March 1st, which next week will be our first episode on there, live on Thursdays at 8 p.m., we will be exclusively on Twitch, and that is Twitch TV. What is? Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'll let you go.
I was just gonna say, and for anybody that it's as simple as signing up. Everything is still just give us a follow. It's free.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to sub, you get access to some sweet emojis. You get our face. But if you want to just still be in the chat live, just make that switch to Twitch. It'll help us out a lot. We got a lot of cool things coming up. This is going to open up a lot of doors here at Love Wrestling for us to do bigger things. And like JPJ said, if you want to catch the show on another platform another day, by all means, you can do that. But we love having you guys over here.
Mm-hmm.
This is the negative effects of Pluggo.
It's still free,
this is a positive. This is a positive.
It's a positive of blowing the budget.
Had we not blown that budget and shot them viewers to the moon, as Cameron Grimes says, we would have got this sweet deal with Twitch.
That is true.
We're just gonna go ahead and take credit for it.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen. So it's free. If you want to sub, if you want to do it now, get familiar with Twitch. It's not as hard. It's not as crazy as it looks. I had to take some time to like figure it out when I first got into the game, but it's actually pretty simple. It's very streamlined to keep everybody in the comments. It's sweet emojis. You can sub to us. You can send us your all sorts of fun stuff. So please do that. You'll see some more stuff about that throughout the week.
Yes. All right. So we will have, like we said at the beginning, Mitch Clarke. We will have him. He'll be coming on shortly. So Pluggo, what do you think we should lead with? tonight. I mean,
you are the guy that's back in the saddle. You haven't talked
am.
wrestling in a week, so why don't you tell me what you want to lead with, and we'll just run with it, man. There was still a good week.
Well,
it wasn't as earth shattering as last week by any stretch of the imagination.
No, but there was some news that came out today.
Some stuff.
We can talk about, why don't we dive into some of the news that came out today? Not so long ago, a couple hours ago,
friend of the show, SRS, right?
PW Insider reported, but SRS did confirm that Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli, Cesaro could not come to terms with WWE on a contract extension, and his contract is run out. So no non-compete. He is available to go where he wants to go right away. We've seen a couple stop and starts with Cesaro over the time. He had been with WWE since 2011. So about 10 years since it's the beginning of 2022. So 10 years. He was one of those guys, I feel like, that a lot of us wrestling fans, they were always like, this guy should be doing more. He should be a main eventer. He's so good. He's so strong. Like, he's so good. And then they would kind of tease us a little bit. Every so often, they would give us a little mini run and be like, all right, he's going to get that push. And then it just was never sustained or anything like that. It was always just, He's
like the greatest tag team wrestler of his time.
And as Dan says here, like Dax, Cash, Biff already sending out shots to get a match. As
you should. The dude, this is like, he's phenomenal. Like, he's such a great, I've always envisioned, like, I wish you could take like the Miz's charisma and talking and promo ability and put it into Cesaro, then he'd be the perfect wrestler. I don't know what it was, the gimmicks they gave him. Like, I don't know if it was him not being able to connect with the crowd. I didn't think he was a terrible promo. I didn't think he was, but I thought when they gave him time to, like, if you gave him time, he was fine. He was fine. He was. I just mean by like he was missing something, or they were missing something. But in terms of like, now he has an opportunity wherever he decides to go to reinvent himself into whatever he wants. And I think given that creative freedom, as we've seen with so many other wrestlers that have left, it usually works out. And Tim signed up on Twitch. Let's go, Tim.
Yeah, that's how we roll, Tim.
He tried to fire us because he didn't understand it. But look, you figured it out, my friend.
See?
Look at it. If Tim can do it, y'all can do it, guys.
It's that easy.
Look, we're looking forward to it. We're going to be psyched. Like I said, we know that we have a very awesome Facebook audience, but I think you guys will really love Twitch and its platform. It's a lot of fun. It is.
So I thought that was, Cesaro he's always been a favorite of mine, I think. And I think the first sign that this might not be a thing that would work is when they put him with Heyman after he turned face and instead just used him as a placeholder when Brock didn't want to show up. Yeah, I mean, I like the Heyman guys. I thought that was going to be something good. Yeah. And now, I don't know. I just feel like for as talented as he was in the ring, he was just so good. And he just deserved more, I think. And now he's free to go to, I know the boss man, Spenny, earlier on Twitter, he tweeted to New Japan that we would all like to see him in the G1. And that would be phenomenal. That would be absolutely incredible to watch him. And I don't watch a ton of New Japan. I'm not a regular viewer. But if I was told that he was doing the G1, I would definitely go out of my way to find those. You know what I mean? Like, I would be paying more attention because I'd be like, oh, that's someone that I'm more familiar with. I want to see how he does outside of WWE. Yeah, man. Cesaro, and then nowadays everyone's going to throw at AEW. I put him in the same category of certain other wrestlers where, am I frozen? Is everyone frozen? Are you frozen? What's going on here? Is Pluggo frozen? Oh my God. Jeez Louise. Every week. It's unbelievable.
I do believe he is frozen. I'm sorry.
Every week. It's every week.
It's those AOL trials, man. They got to get him on him. He's got to get on net.
He's got to get off that dial-up.
I know.
Are you alive?
Jesus. Are you alive?
Are you alive? No, he's not alive.
He's not alive.
Every week. Unbelievable. It should be a B2. Wait, is he there? Now he's there. Are you alive?
Buffering.
Is this 1980s tube TV Pluggo we see up there? Oh my word, Alex, get the
I
hell out
can't.
of here.
I will say this. I will say this. I never had these issues in the summertime.
Oh, is that what it is?
I'm blaming the way. I don't know, man. I don't know what just went down there. It was just like, but anyway, like I was trying to say before I was rudely interrupted by my Boost Mobile internet. You want to see Cesaro? We've all wanted to see Cesaro wrestle. Like we've wanted to see that when he got that push. Was it last year or maybe 2020 with Roman Reigns and that program? Like you were starting to see it kind of come together, and then they just pulled the rug out from underneath him, like my internet does. They just were like, "Nope, sorry, dude."
Yeah, I believe that was last year, 2021.
Yeah, it was
because he had that match. He had that match at Mania with Seth, where he went over, and the crowd was losing their minds, and everyone was like, "This is it. This is the time. Finally, after 10 years, they're giving it to him." And then he fought Roman, and he had a great match with Roman. But everyone knew he wasn't going to beat Roman. Nobody was beating Roman. Nobody still is beating Roman.
But we all know that you should still be able to build off of a loss from Roman Reigns, the like alpha dog in all of wrestling. Like you should be able to.
And then they went back to the Seth. Yeah, they went back to the Seth thing, and then they had Seth beat him a couple times in a row, and then it was okay. So it wasn't real, I guess. So great, And it's unfortunate. But now he'll get to go somewhere, whether it is, anywhere. Impact, AEW, New Japan.
And he gets to have that. He gets to have that contract.
He gets to do what he wants.
Do what he wants to do. Yeah. And I think, and I have to imagine if you've been at a place for 10 years, and you just, I think he was probably like, you know what, it's got to be time. Because I feel like if you're somewhere for 10 years, you figure out a way to get it done if that's where you want to be, because you've already invested a decade. Mm-hmm. I think he probably was like, you know what, I could just go do what I want to do. I'm set now. And he can always come back. He's one of those guys. They would bring back. I mean, go get your flowers, man. Go do your thing. Everybody's going to rave and love Cesaro, which they should. He's phenomenal. If I'm excited. Thank you, WWE, for always giving us something to talk about on Thursday nights.
Yeah, for real.
Every Thursday they're like, you know what? Here you go, guys. Enjoy.
Yeah. And sticking on the contract side of things, Sean Ross Sapp and Fightful Select did report that AEW did pick up the option on Brian Cage's contract,
that's interesting.
Which was said to be quite a shock because they don't really use Brian Cage all that. And again, I am not a regular viewer of Dark or Dark Elevation. He might be used more, and that is true. Cage, at least online, has denied it.
If you're Brian Cage, I think you do.
And then he was found to be liking tweets about his re-signing. So there you go. But
he's clearly unhappy in AEW. They're not using him. And I know that they probably, when they signed him, and this has become the problem in AEW, is when they signed him, he was one of the big gets. And then then you get a Danielson, then you get a Punk, then you get Moriarty, then you just keep stacking all these. He gets pushed down the card, and then Ricky Starks emerges in that group as the guy. I don't know why you would exercise that option on him outside of just not wanting him to go somewhere else, but at the same time, that's a very WWE thing to do. So and I can confirm that man is a physical specimen. I stood next to him at Warrior 18, and I was just like, yeah, we're twins. Brian Cage and I are twins with our shirts off. So I don't know what you do there unless they have a plan for him and they plan on using him for something. But Brian Cage, unfortunately, is in that spot in AEW where it's like, we need to throw him against Hangman Page or something like that in a title shot. You know he's going to lose, which sells him short. So I'm interested to see maybe maybe it's not true. Maybe he's going to get out. I don't know. It just was a weird thing.
Yeah.
And if you're not using the guy weekly, why keep him for another year?
And Dan says, I think TK might have a plan for Cage if he did exercise the option. He said someone brought up him being MJF's new muscle after Wardlow's turn. I mean,
no offense to not even no offense to anybody, but that's beneath Cage. Wardlow Wardlow, it made sense because you were you see what you've now got Wardlow into superstar status. And honestly, you don't need Cage. You've got Wardlow now. He fits that mold and he can do all the things Brian Cage can do. But like Brian Cage, like that spot should be to elevate somebody, right? Like you want to, does MJF need Brian Cage? Brian Cage needs MJF if he wants TV time, I guess.
Yeah, but that might satisfy. I mean, Brian Cage has been outspoken on social medias about his lack of use.
Yeah.
So maybe this is something to appease him from a creative standpoint, where they're like, hey, we have this idea where you'll be on TV with one of, yes, you'll be in a sidekick number 2 role type thing, but and I agree with Dan right here. I do think that answer to Spencer's question of who's more likely to turn face, Wardlow, MJF, it's Wardlow. I think MJF is going to reveal either right before or right after Revolution that even though, and we're going to talk about it after we're going to talk about it.
Let's just talk about it now.
I don't want to talk about it now. And then if Mitch hops, I don't want to, I want that to be,
what?
We're going to talk about it.
That was
masterful.
insane.
Masterful. That was a masterful segment of television.
Well,
the whole
Mitch
thing.
Hops on, let's ask him if he watched.
Maybe. That whole promo from MJF, which was truth. I don't know, on the social medias today, on Twitter, people were showing the Facebook post from 2011, I believe, or back then, with MJF, Max Friedman, talking about literally him quitting football and going to wrestling. Everything that he said in that promo, I'm sure some of it was exaggerated to, bring it up to level 10, but that was based in truth. And I think that made that whole promo even better than it already was the fact that was real. He got treated that way. And the crowd, when he was telling the story about those kids that wrapped up the quarters and were throwing it at him and whipping him, you could hear it. There was a section of that crowd that was cheering for that. They were like, oh yeah, you're a piece of crap. We don't like you. Good. Good.
Has MJF done anything to
But I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that to knock those people. I'm saying that's the level of shit that MJF gets because he's so good at this character.
Yeah.
And for him to come out of nowhere and have this sympathetic promo to where he turns it around on Punk, where he's like, hey man, like, I get it. You had to leave to fix yourself. Like, good, man. Like, you had to do that. But there were some of us, not the jerks that you were part of the reason why you left, but there were some of us like me that you meant a lot to, and you quit on us. You quit on me when I needed you. So that might have just been a Friday to you, but because of what happened to me earlier in the day, that was the most important day of my life. And then you quit on me, man.
Yeah.
And it was unreal. It was unbelievable.
I don't think anybody can cut that promo other than MJF because he's such a shitbag on TV that like he cuts a sympathetic promo and makes you feel bad for him. You're just like, what just happened? Like you're CM Punk in that moment. You're like, is this real? Like what just happened? Like he played the whole thing perfect. Punk coming out. Like I said off air to you, I said it was crazy last week. We had a promo where they shut MJF up, which is almost impossible. And then this week, pretty much same thing. CM Punk was like, huh? What? Like, didn't know what to say. But we can talk. It was crazy. It was it was insane. But anyway, we got other business to
attend to. Let's bring him on board here. We have our guest this evening. He is Batman or Mitch. No, he is Mitch Clarke. How are you doing, my friend? How are you? Thank you for joining us.
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
We are doing good, man. We are doing good. Pluggo, would you like
Batman or Mitch? How do you decide? Or do we have to decide?
Well, I go by Mitch. If you're not in the whole brevity thing, then Batman, I guess. But I don't know. This is what happens when I get too much choice and I'm not supervised. I'm a giant man child, I guess. So
that is exactly what this show is all about.
Literally, that's like what this show is. Just we're a bunch of old kids around
Yep.
here. So, all right.
Well, thank you for joining us. We are here to talk about something pretty important coming up at Love Wrestling. LPW2, Don't Want to Grow Up. How did you get involved in this, what looks to be an awesome group of people and an awesome card on March 25th?
March 25th.
Yes. Sorry.
I think it's just sheer luck and people not doing background checks. I think that's the big thing. So Spencer, Spencer, one of the promoters, he'd come out to when I was still wrestling for Monster Pro Wrestling, and he'd come out and he started to bond with some of the guys there and made a good impression. Apparently, he thought I was an okay wrestler, so that helped a ton. And we formed a good relationship as well as the other people involved. I think the big thing is he took a big chance on me, and I took a big chance on him, and I feel really, really honored to be a part of such, like you said, this is a huge, crazy, awesome event, and to be a part of it, I think is pretty cool. To be a part of that big one, for me, it's all about these little check marks on like the bucket list, so to speak. And I've always wanted to wrestle somewhere cool and wrestle someone cool, like someone that's done big things that isn't like from the local area. And I got to wrestle in the rec room, which is a big venue. It is a 200-foot screen behind you. Like, to be honest, when I walked out and they're playing my music, which we won't even get that right now, you can feel the reverberations. And I've told some of the people, this is how it feels when you walk to the Octagon when you're in a big arena. Like when I fought in the MTS arena in Winnipeg, and they're playing Street Fighting Man by Rolling Stones, and you can feel it pumping. Like, you get that same feeling in your chest. I got that at the first rec room. So I said thank you to Spencer and all the people at Love Pro Wrestling for letting me feel that moment again, because that's a big deal to me. And nothing, like, it's not something you can buy, that type of feeling. And I think it was super cool.
Well, it's super cool that you joined us. You are literally the first guest on this show that Spencer has not yelled at us for booking. So thank you for that. You mentioned the Octagon, and I wanted to ask you this: how does preparing for a UFC fight? Because for those that don't know, you were in the UFC back in 2012, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, in that area. That
2011 to 2017. So I had a decent stint. Like, I had a decent run. I fought some really, really tough guys. I got some good wins, and like, regardless of what my wins and losses are, I carved out a nice niche in Canadian MMA. And but for me, it was transition that other period of your life where you pretend you're an adult. And so, like, yeah, I've fought in the MGM Grand Garden Arena, which is like, it's the coolest spot to ever fight in. I've fought in Air Canada Center, MTS Center, the Saddle Dome, Shaw Conference Center. Like, I've also coached in the Oceana Grand Garden Arena, which is in Surfers Paradise in Australia. I've had a lot of tremendous opportunities because of fighting, and I think that's part of the reason why I got picked for this, is because Spencer maybe thinks that I have some name value, which I don't. I'm the Rodney Dangerfield of Canadian MMA, and got no respect. So, it's kind of a weird kind of. I'm a weird mishmash of nothing.
But did you always like want to do the wrestling side of things, or like how did that come to be where you're like, all right, I'm in the UFC, I have a really great run, now I want to try the wrestling thing? Or is that always something that was in the back of your mind, is like, I'm going to do this at some point?
I really wanted to be a pro wrestler when I was in high school. I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And like, I'd gone to, like, in Saskatoon, a couple wrestling schools, and I got told I'm too small. Because, like, I wrestled, when I originally wrestled freestyle, I wrestled 64 kilos, which changed to 66 kilos, which is 147 pounds. and 70 kilos, that kind of thing, and you get told you're too small. Another thing is like I don't walk around at those weights. Those are like where I murder myself to make that weight, you know. But overall, I got told I was too small, and then you know I found I was okay at this fighting gig, so I thought I'd try it out for a while, and it worked out well. But overall, when I was done, I decided I wanted to go through all kind of like the things on my bucket list and things I wanted to do. And pro wrestling, I thought, you know, why not? I think, you know, I think we spend way too much time listening to people telling us, no, you can't do it, all this other stuff. And I think it's really important. And like now I'm a teacher, and I really explain, you're really capable of anything you put your mind to. And you know, in a short amount of time, I've done a lot of things in pro wrestling. Obviously, there's so much more to learn and so much more to, you know, to get better at and keep improving and all this stuff. But realistically, you're a ball of clay, and what you become, what you sculpt yourself into at the end is really your own responsibility. And if you listen to other people slowly squish you down, you know, you're going to just stay a lump of clay. And really, I think that onus is on you and your mentality.
Yeah. And so you said that you kind of wanted to be a pro wrestler since high school. So do you remember like the first moment that you became a wrestling fan, or like that what kind of set you in that motion to start to love pro wrestling to the point where you wanted to become one eventually?
You know, I think like part of that is, you know, at my grandma's place, she always had the old super hard rubber pro wrestlers from the golden era,
yes.
And she had those, and
like the LGs or the big guys, right? Weren't they LG?
Yeah,
you got one back there, Pluggo?
Yeah, I was gonna say I got like the Doom.
yeah.
Not great toys when you're like 6 or 7, because they don't.
So hard to all get out, yeah.
But you knew who they were, and then like you watched a little bit, and you know, I wouldn't be Canadian if I didn't say like you get inspired by Bret Hart. But for me, and if you've seen my my gear, you really realize that heavily inspired by Macho Man Randy Savage. Seeing him and snapping into Slim Jims became super motivating. You're like, you see all this raw machismo of a man, and just talking like this and doing his thing, and you know, it becomes so ingrained in you. And who hasn't, as someone who grew up in that era, hasn't attempted that voice? So, you know, and seeing a bigger guy flying through the air, I think it was probably like 92, 93. So before they put Macho Man in the commentary booth full time there, that's when I really like. I love the extravagant outfits he wore and everything. So for me, that was. That's where I kind of like locked on. You know, I still have a VHS copy of WrestleMania 5, Mega Powers Explode, and like and it's like my wife is just like, well, it's VHS. We don't even have a VCR. I'm like, don't touch it.
It's there forever. It's never leaving. That's always gonna be there.
This is my childhood.
Those are the major inspirations. Yeah, exactly. That's part of me. Part of why I'm so weird and the way
we fit in perfect on this show. That's what we're all about.
That is
true. I wanted to ask about the first Love Wrestling, the Love Pro Wrestling show was Change the Game. And I know we had Spencer on and we did a preview of that, and he was very adamant about the scene in Canada, and the goal was to get a bunch of like-minded people in the room and change the game for the Canadian scene in wrestling, because it does get slept on at times, considering it has so many greats throughout the history. How are you feeling about the scene up there in Canada and where it could go or where it is now?
I think that there's a lot of, like you said, it gets kind of slept on. There's a lot of tremendous talent, and I think part of why it gets slept on is it's all really condensed into areas, and everyone in those areas is fighting because they think that there's only one spot. When really, if we take a look at you know, the promotions in areas, if we go Alberta, there's so many tremendous talents. You know, even like guys who have been around for 16, 17 years, and the world has only seen like a glimpse of the heavy metals and the MRBs and the Sydney Steels, and I could go on and on. And you know, like you take a look at British Columbia too. You see all these guys, Randy Myers, who's going to be on this show, and you see guys like Kenneth Lush, who should have been in bigger shows, but has been able to wrestle in places like Korea and stuff like that, or Ontario, Winnipeg. You have guys like Danny Duggan and all his crew that have been doing it for so long. I can, and let alone the Maritimes. Maritimes is so packed in for such a small area for how much wrestling they have. Ontario, the same thing. They have so much wrestling in small area, and I think that because it's so there's small areas with so much talent that it kind of gets slept on. Well, it's all these guys are almost like in a crabs in a bucket mentality. Everyone's climbing for that one spot where where the crowd doesn't get to see how good everything is. It's not just the guys at the top that are good. Even the guys who are bottom, moving down the chain, there's so many excellent wrestlers. Western Canada, Eastern Canada. Obviously I'm going to be biased and say Western Canada because I've actually been able to watch and be a part of it and see them. But it's unfortunate because you see you see some of these wrestlers and they're like, oh, he's one of the best guys in Edmonton. It's like, no, he's one of the best guys in the world, but people don't get to see. And I'm not talking about me because I'm a dumpster fire, but there's so many really good wrestlers, and it's unfortunate that they haven't been given a platform to kind of show how good they are.
Yeah, for sure. And Wordsmith saying don't sleep on Quebec either.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, that's my bad. Actually, that was in the back of my head. It was best entertainment wrestling. They're trying to bring in a bunch of wrestlers from Quebec, and then you take a look at these names and you do some research. There's so many good wrestlers, and if I kind of compare it to MMA, and that's the only thing. That's where I come from. Is in Canada we have so many really good fighters, but their records sometimes aren't great because all these great fighters have to fight each other, and someone has to win and someone has to lose. And I think it's the same thing for pro wrestling. We have so many talented wrestlers that someone has to win and someone loses their shine a little bit. So across the board, there's so many great wrestlers, pro wrestlers in Canada, and I think that this internet thing is gonna, it's gonna take off soon, and hopefully people will be able to see how such a dumb
little old thing called the internet, right? One day it's gonna blow up. It is. I'm still
figuring out the internet on my end. I don't know how to work this thing. Yeah. I don't know how it works, but
yeah. I got a quick thing. So
yeah,
when I was wrestling for a different company, and they were talking about filming and throwing it on YouTube, and the promoter was older and old school, and they were like, I think this YouTube thing's gonna take off. It was 2020, and you're like, maybe it might be a big deal one day.
Maybe throw some money in on that stock. It might boom one day. Right? Oh man, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. All right, before we get you out of here, I wanted to your match for LPW2 hasn't been announced yet, so we're not going to spoil the beans or anything. But for those of us that'll be tuning in, what can they expect if they've never seen you wrestle before, never seen you perform before? What can they expect from seeing you in the ring? What's your style, and what can they expect from when they tune into LPW2?
I bring violence. My trainer is Phil LaFawn. My first trainer is Phil LaFawn, nice. The great. He comes from that old school All Japan dojo. He's there to beat up humans, and he kind of passed that on to me. I think that's super important. I come from a wrestling background. I'm a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I like to hit people. It's super fun. It's not so bad when you get hit back. It's not a big deal. People think it's a big deal, but meh. But for me, I'm all about bringing that violence, and overall, the technical wrestling is the other big thing. I have that distinct advantage that I have that 17 years, where I'm going to be able to use that to my advantage. I said 17 years, but I've been wrestling since I was 12, so that's a long time. I'm not going to say how old I am, but I'm super old now. But for me, I bring the violence, I bring the technique, and I'm there to tap someone out, snap someone's arm, or make them take a nap. That's really what it comes down to.
Awesome stuff. Pluggo, got anything?
Oh, you
to
covered
wrap?
that. That was going to be my question. You stole mine as I stole yours. That's how we do. But no, we appreciate you coming on. We are excited for Love Wrestling, Love Pro Wrestling. I would just say Love Wrestling. That's how I always say it. But Love Pro Wrestling's Don't Want to Grow Up, March 25th at the Rec Room in Alberta, Canada. Thank you so much. We know you got to get back to training so you can take care of business, whoever your opponent may be. When we will announce that on the site, so stay tuned. Go follow Mitch. Thank you so much, sir, for stopping out and hanging out with us for a little bit.
We do.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah. We do have one quick question. It says, will Mitch Clarke be defending his submission title at LPW2?
I think that's a good question, and that's something to ask the brass. That's something to ask the promoters and say, hey, are we going to put this on the line? Is this something that we want to keep going? If it's for the submission, title, I don't think there's a person who can compete with me. I've competed at the highest level, and I'm willing to show it and put it on the line. But really, it comes down to if the promoters say yes, I'll do it. If not, I'm just going to take apart whoever they give me.
Awesome. Thank you again, Mitch, for joining us. This was a lot of fun. We'd like to have you back on here sometime real soon. Love Pro Wrestling 2. Don't Want to Grow Up, March 25th. Tune in. Watch this guy bring the violence.
That's right.
Thank you again,
That's what
Mitch.
we like to. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, right.
Thank you guys for having me. I super appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. You're welcome. All right, now let's hear from a little bit of
we gotta pay some bills.
Sponsors. We're gonna pay some bills around here after the guest. Here's a little bit of ad.
Well, let me tell you something, everyone. If you go over to manscaped.com right this moment in time, right now, you can save 20% off of your next purchase at manscaped.com. But how am I going to save 20%, I hear you ask? Well, let the wordsmith tell you. Because if you enter promo code Love Wrestling, that's right, Love Wrestling. You can see it down here. You can see it scrolling across the screen. Enter promo code Love Wrestling and save 20% off of anything you find on that website. And also, you'll get free shipping. How crazy is that? 20% off. You can use it to buy the Lawnmower 4.0. And at the end of the day, your balls are going to thank you because, like the headline says, at manscaped.com, we save balls. And it's just too sweet.
Man, that wordsmith is really good at stuff.
He's so good, isn't he?
So good. He's so good.
As you saw in that video, and you can see below us scrolling right there, manscaped.com. Love Wrestling is the code. You will get 20% off plus free shipping. We've been saying it. You can't beat that deal. You heard the wordsmith going through all the products, all the great things they offer. I've been a customer of theirs for years now. I can't say enough good things. So go to manscaped.com, type in the promo code Love Wrestling, let them know that we sent you there and that you're digging our partnership, and you'll get 20% off plus free shipping. All right.
And we got about 15 minutes left. Like you said, stay tuned, 9 o'clock sharp. Quizplex is about to blow the whole thing out the water. It's going to be a massive episode. So you got to check that out. PCO in the building. That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
That guy's unreal. But we're going to just, you know what? If you got questions, comments, throw them in the chat. But we're gonna keep talking our thing. But I'm saying get them in if you got them. Because we only got till 9 tonight. We can't go long. Boss will yell at us if we go long, and we don't want to get yelled at because we just got that. We just got that new Twitch deal going. We don't want to.
Yeah, can't screw it up before it even happens
tonight. You know what I'm saying?
But so before Mitch joined us, we were talking MJF. So, in that segment. We were kind of in the middle of it, but I thought from beginning to end, it was a masterful thing that we saw. MJF used real life things that happened to him, things that he's spoken about before. He turned it around in a way where
it wasn't the typical you took your ball and went home promo.
It wasn't. It was
that everybody else has done, where it's like, yeah, you
Mhm.
left and we took your spot. Like, no, he was like, this cut me deep.
Yeah, like this
you
affected
were my
me.
guy.
You were my hero. You're one of the people that got me through all these terrible times in my life.
And
then
left
you
and
quit
didn't
on
explain
me.
yourself, you know?
Yeah, you quit on me. And what about my answer? What about the reasoning for me? And he was like, and he said, at the end when he's like, you can beat me, you can make me bleed, you can choke me, you can do whatever you want, but one thing you'll never do is make me quit, because then I'd be no better than you.
Yeah.
And it was just like, man, oh man. It was
I think everybody felt that because yes, it's wrestling, and yes, it's goofy, and yes, it's silly at times, and it's not real, but it is like, this is what we love. And that came from a place of like, CM Punk is my favorite wrestler of all time. Like, how do you think I felt when he left? And I understood why he left. I was old enough to get it at that time, but it's still like that. There's a chance I'll never see him wrestle again, and he's one of the reasons I got back into this thing. And,
me too.
You get invested in these characters, you get invested in these people. And so like in that arena, while you're watching at home, you feel that you're like, he left. He's one of my inspirations. And anybody that thinks you can't be inspired by a wrestler is crazy. I see some things on Twitter sometimes where I'm like, you know what? Like, wrestlers have influenced me in ways that I can't even explain. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So like, it comes from this is what we love. This is what we're passionate about. It's like, for you, Tom Brady retiring, that had to have been a big, you're never going to
bring that. Why you got to bring
I'm
that?
just saying, like, see how you're feeling? Exactly.
What the hell,
from
man?
a place of emotion.
To,
trying to get over it.
I'm trying to emotionally cope with it. You got to bring that shit up like all the time.
Yeah,
what the hell wrong with you?
You were gone last week.
Over
you
here, minding my
last
business. You
week.
got to just throw a dagger at me like that.
You left me last week, and everybody was picking on me in the comments.
I didn't leave you. I gave you warning. I was going. Anyway.
You didn't show up, and everybody was like, "Where's JPJ?" And I was like, "No."
Oh, and we got a raid. We got a raid from Mike the Ref. Appreciate that, my friend. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for that raid. We are talking a little bit. We got about 10 minutes or so. We're talking about. I get what you're saying. We're talking about the MJF promo, and I said segment for a reason, because not only was the promo incredible, but then you have the moment of CM Punk coming out, and he walks out there, doesn't grab a mic, doesn't say anything, and he looks at MJF, and I love that he still had one. If you look at it. He has his right hand clenched in a fist. Like, I still don't trust this. I still don't trust this. And he looks him dead in the eye. He goes, "Is that true? Is this real? Is this real? Is that true?" And MJF looks right at him. And MJF just says, "Yeah, it's true." And then they show the camera view, and you see the tear coming out of MJF's. Yeah. And then he just leaves. And then the camera just ends on Punk. And you can see Punk's facial expression. He's questioning a lot of things.
Because what do you say to that? Like,
how
do you? And then, like you said, it's MJF, and we know MJF's history. He, from anywhere he's been, he's a shitbag heel, and so you have that doubt, but you're like, wait a minute, if this is legit? Like, I'm a bum. Like, he made me feel, if I'm CM Punk, he makes me feel bad.
Yeah.
Like, shoot. Yeah, I did light a legion of fans in the dust and acted like I was above everybody for 7 years. And that the wrestling wasn't important to me, but I was so important to all these people. It was wonderful. Like, I don't know how you watch that and not get invested in some way, shape, or form. There's
incredible stuff. If you haven't watched it or didn't see it, go out of your way to at least watch that segment. Yeah. I've said it multiple times. It truly was masterful storytelling. It was one of the best wrestling segments I've seen in a while, from beginning to end. It was just incredible stuff. But some other stuff went down on Dynamite. We did have the Battle Royal with all the tag teams. There were 10 teams. it ended up being it was John Silver, Matt
Jackson,
Kyle O'Reilly, and Trent Beretta. Were they the last four?
Yeah, it was either Trent or because
Santana went out early. Yeah, went out a tad earlier.
Well, Santana and Trent went out together.
So who was the fourth person then? I thought there were four of them. But anyway,
there was. Let me think about it.
But throughout the match, the Young Bucks.
It was FTR. It was Dax.
That's right. Throughout the match, the Young Bucks and Red Dragon were kind of helping each other. They were looking out for each other. Yep, Ry Levy backing us up as always, saying it was Dax.
Good to see you, by the way, Ry Levy.
Yeah, thank you for hopping in here. Good to see you as always. They were helping each other, and at the end, it got down to when I think it was the final 6 teams. They each had one representative left because both people had to be eliminated for your team to be out.
Which I love that. I think that is.
I did too. I thought that was clever way to end it. I'm like, oh, cool. Now they're just representing their teams, but it's one on one. And it got down to there were 3 left, and Matt and Kyle were helping out. Matt goes to eliminate someone, and Kyle right behind him just eliminates Matt. And Red Dragon, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly win. And then we see the Young Bucks.
He was like, you eliminated.
He's like, oh, you go. My shoulder's hurt. He's like, oh, there you go. You're out. See ya. And
awesome stuff.
And then that has them face to face. They're arguing with each other. We see Hangman comes down, which was cool because it was just like, oh, all right, Hangman's down here with these 4. Like, we haven't seen this interaction a while. He gets right in there and he just starts beating the crap out of Red Dragon because they attacked him the week before. That makes Adam Cole come out, and it made me invested. Don't get me wrong, I'm invested in an Adam Cole, Adam Hangman Page match. Don't get me wrong. But I felt like last night was the first time where the story was like, oh man, I want to see this match now. That's how it was good. It was very, very good.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference between like, yeah, we're invested because it's 2 top athletes, and then you're just like, this is must see because they took it to that next level, and they did that last night. And that's not even the go home show for Revolution. That's next week. So
correct. And last night kind of felt like one, didn't it?
Yeah,
it felt like one.
It was just another show where you're just like, man, they pulled out all the stops.
I was talking to you in the chat, and I was like, hey, like I know this is probably not true, and I'm probably just really enjoying the show for obvious reasons. I'm like, but is this an all-timer? Like, I feel like this has just been like,
I mean,
woo! I was just like, this has just been nonstop. Like, I'm like, am I like, what's going on? Because, and I guess we'll talk about this probably for the last couple minutes. We had a debut last night as well, as it was the House of Black, Malachi Black and Brody King against Pac and Penta Oscuro, which that entrance was unreal. Loved it.
Very cool.
I loved Alex Abrahantes with the face paint and the singing the song, and Penta coming up. Yeah, and Penta coming up over the grave with his eyes wide open and just that, the black. Oh, that was so good. It was so good. Maybe before we talk about the debut, Garcia and Bryan, phenomenal main event. I mean, just phenomenal. How good of a year. I said it on Twitter.
That's how good the show was, that's your main event. And we were like, oh yeah, and this main event happened too. Like, crazy.
How good of a year has Daniel Garcia had?
He's
fought CM Punk, Moxley, Bryan, Suzuki. There's more. There's more than that. Those are just the ones I can remember.
I was admittedly onto him late in the game. I kind of stumbled across him on an IWTV show. I can't even remember which one. And I was just like, this dude looks like he wants to kill everybody that he wrestles. And then you've seen him grow since I kind of got into it. And the whole AEW run, like I said, AEW is killing it. I know we don't have a lot of time to dive into the pillars type talk, but like that foundation of the Moriartys, the Daniel Garcias, the Wheeler Yutas, like they're just under the Jungle Boys, the Darby. Like it's a pecking order, but you could see where Punk goes away or Daniel Bryan goes away. We can slot other. They're building towards.
And I loved Bryan. I loved Bryan throughout the whole match, like kind of like egging on Garcia, like show me the violence, like let's go, like egging him on. And then at the end, he was like, "That's what I wanted to see." That's what I wanted to see.
That Daniel Bryan rules. Like
Oh
Daniel
my
Bryan's
God.
like, no,
First of all, it's Bryan Danielson.
I know. I can't
God.
help it. It's so hard. Shut up. Man. But no, he's like, I love that about him where he's just like, beat the crap out of me. I want to see it. Don't hold back. He doesn't like to, get out of the wins. He wants to get into a fight. And because I think for a long time there, they were like protecting him as much as they could. And that's just not who he is.
No. And then, at the end, 2.0 comes out, attacks Bryan, which causes Moxley to come out. And then Moxley takes care of all three of them. And then he says, all right, you said you don't want a team until you bleed. You don't ride with somebody until you bleed with them. Well, guess what? At Revolution, it's you and me, pal. And you and I we'll announce something. We'll be talking about Revolution aplenty coming up soon. So we'll announce something in the coming days. But
spoiler teaser, whatever.
That Revolution card is one of the more stacked wrestling cards that I've seen in a while.
Yeah, we're going to dive deep into that a lot next week. Yes, I have a feeling.
But
be ready.
And words are your best friend, our good friend, your best friend, the wordsmith.
Yes,
had the pleasure of seeing Garcia versus Speedball, Mike Bailey a few years back. Match. I can only imagine how freaking.
Yeah, I'd have to. If that's available somewhere online, send me the link. I'd want to watch that because Speedball is fantastic too. So, friend of Love Wrestling.
And Rye says his evolution from a white meat babyface on the East Coast and Canadian Indies to his current incarnation is awesome. It is. All right, let's talk about Buddy Matthews just for a few minutes before we got to transition over to the Quizplex with PCO, Green Phantom, Michael Allen, Richard Clarke. You got to stick around. You got to stay tuned. Who doesn't want to see PCO answering wrestling trivia? Come on.
And you get to see.
Come on, guys.
See the Ampersand Man.
Come on. Guys.
Sark will be hosted.
But yes, we did have that tag match. It was Pac and Penta versus Malachi Black and Brody King, which Pac and Penta got the victory, which that shocked me. I was like, I did not expect. But the way they did it, where Malachi tried to use the mist and Penta kind of blocked it and almost pushed it back into Malachi's whatever. Okay, but I did not expect.
That sells the mist as it's very deadly.
It does though.
Malachi Black almost said.
And then afterwards, oh my God! Afterwards, we get the lights go out. They're starting to attack, and the lights go out. And you think it looks like the House of Black is about to end Penta. And the lights go out, and we see they come back on, and we have Buddy Matthews in the ring, and he is looking jacked. Good. He was always jacked, but he was looking jacked.
The only thing I didn't like about it was I wish he would have changed his gear.
It is the exact same style.
Other than that, though, I love the story that they're gonna tell, and I think there's a lot here. I was just like, bro,
But it is a callback to their, and they're doing a callback to their history in WWE, and that's what he wore. I mean, it makes sense. But we'll touch on the Buddy Matthews stuff when we announce the things when we talk about Revolution and things like that. But we have to get out of here.
We gotta go.
Stay tuned on this channel. Quizplex is coming up. Wrestling trivia. 3 special guests. You can play in the chat. You can win a free prize. Our amazing host and our good friend, Zach Zark, the Ampersand Man. He's hosting the show. He's great. Spencer will be there. We got PCO. We got the Green Phantom. And we got Michael Allen, Richard Clarke.
Get your
That is going to be a good night. Go on whatamaneuver.net. We'll have that link up here for a split second. whatamaneuver.net/collections/love-wrestling-ca. Get yourselves a hoodie, a t-shirt. We got onesies on there. For babies. We got everything. Get yourself some Between Two Beards merch. Show us you love us. Help us out. Hook us up.
Stay tuned on our socials. We got a lot of stuff to announce.
We got some good stuff coming up. So follow us on our socials. Follow us at B2Beards on Twitter. We'll have all the announcements there. But right now, after we sign off here, stay here for Quizplex. And until
shout
next
out
Thursday,
to Mitch Clarke for stopping
Mitch Clarke,
by.
thank you again. That was an awesome interview. You were great. We got to get him on again for a longer form one if we can.
Yes.
But for Pluggo, I'm JPJ. Thank you, Alex, behind the glass, my friend. We are Between Two Beards. And until next week, peace out.